We've officially hacked in, done our decoding, and now it seems like we have our goal, or what we're believing to be the carton goal, at least, of this series. And we're going to attempt to win the race, basically. Yeah. And invent time travel before the expected date that it actually occurs, according to John, I guess, if we're going to decide to trust and listen to him. So I'm interested to see how Okabe kind of goes about things here. And I don't know, I feel like it. Subscribe to me a lot to me. Feel free to stick around for discussion. Leave any comments about this episode of the series. Could go on episode 6. It's still just sitting there. They didn't even bother trying to remove it or anything. Huh. Okay. You. I want to speak to you. We got the computer. Not really. She afraid to be on camera? Or just of others? Blow her cover because she's fucking part of the organization. I've been saying it, dude. Ooh. Yeah? We're just gonna... Okay. Okay, sure. Never gonna talk about it. Dead, you're dead, I remember. There's a possibility you do it again today, too. No. That's alright. No. Right. Alright, we're gonna stay hidden till then, bro. Oh, on guard again. Do you want to talk about it? Please? Why don't you like me? Right. It's all in our imagination, realistically. Nice. Okay. We have to scale it, that was too tiny. We have to get it to a point that we can send people or else we lose. I think that's the case, at least. It is. Constant arguing between the two. We're never gonna get anything done at this rate. Honestly, that's the best name he's given anything so far. All in favor? Nobody. Not even Mayuri? Okay. It's too long, dude. Also, yeah. Dude, did you... No, it's... No. That works. As expected from my assistant. Name's subject to change, of course. It was. It was. We have to repeat it exactly. Put the banana in. Yay. She's so simple. I love her.
ドジっ子アピールはよせ。
したら痛いの痛いの飛んでる。
Yeah,
サンクスマユリ。
そこいつまでもユリフィールドを作っていないで D メールの準備を。
come on, big money, big money.
今だ。
We're doing it. And then it fails. Never
ル
mind.
バナになった。
成功だ。受信日時は
And it's days ago. Yep.
マキセ氏2通送った？
Nope.
一通だけ。
So once again we split. Why?
二通に分割されてる。
ちなみに
Yeah. What is that supposed to mean? Oh, was it in English?
それって文章は途中で切れてたよな。
Hmm.
遡った時間も同じく5日だったし。
The 5 days seems to be the typical thing, but why they're getting split in two and possibly losing some along the process?
頭空っぽのバカだということか。
気づくの遅すぎ。
食料は保存の効くカップ麺で十分だろう。チョコも特用のが一袋あればいい。
No, no, no. This is for me
実
though.
験成功
Yeah.
をお願いだし。
いいから戻してこい。
We don't have the
ケチ
funds.
くさ。
Jelly. It looks the same, so we gotta use it, right? Or is he having like trauma thinking of this?
実験成功と浮かれていたが、俺たちはセルンの恐ろしい機密を知ってしまった。
Yeah, that they're out here fucking killing people in the
巻き込
process.
んでしまって本当に良かったのか。
Is it really for the best to get others I care about involved? Although I put on my Chuny act. Hello, CERN organization member.
持ってないの。
この法院教魔の形態は今人類史に名を残す偉大な実験に使用中のためここにはない。
オカリン。
There's a woman looking at you. Okay.
セクシーな3次元の女性
いやー
のことでありますか？ 3次元に希望を持っていた時期が僕にもありました。
It's all a waste, dude. It's all a waste.
園長がすっごくイライラしてるわけ。2階からの振動がすごくってさ。
Yeah.
家賃1万円アップするぞこら。とかなんとか。
Bro, we can barely afford food. We can't. Yeah. Where the hell are we gonna find that?
マキセクリスもまだいるの？
Yes. What's your deal with
そういやさっ
her?
きもじっと見てたな。この前といい、なぜ奴にこだわる？過去に何かあったのか？
Yeah, she's just not. Yeah, in the future, she's just not aware of it.
そう。あれは8歳の夏、ミシシッピの河川敷で逃げ出し。
Stop with your story, bro. Stop. Do I buy she saw her for the first time there? Actually, yes. But I think she's heard stories about what's the cub.
実は人類の科学史を塗り替える世紀の実験中でしてね。
Well, stop
しかし
it.
ご安心を。今日はもうこれ以上は。
What the fuck are we doing? Oh no, you're gonna kill him.
メールしたんだけど見てない？
見られるわけなかろうが。
5日も前に忠告したの。あとなんか実験以外でもオカリンの携帯何度も鳴ってたよ。
Yeah, that's because fucking yeah.
E メールが遡る時間についてはタイマーの1秒が現実の1時間に相当する。
Okay.
120秒で5日。それで5日前ってわけ。
いつ
Gotcha.
送るか。
文で最大36文字、日本文で18文字だ。少なすぎる。
ブラックホールがカーブラックホールね。そのブラックホールの穴がきついんだよ。
Okay, okay, settle
今
down.
の言
Oh,
葉もう一度穴のところから。
やめろ変態。
とにかくこれだけは宣言しておこう。
we've
2010
begun
年8月2日は
and found
人類
something
史にとって
great.
永遠に記憶に残る日になるであろう。
Yes.
なぜならこの日、我ら未来ガジェット研究所は人類史上初のタイムマシン開発に成功したからで。
Let's go.
初じゃなくね？セルに先越されてたし。
Oh yeah, that's true.
そもそ
Yeah,
も開発したとは言えない。
it was just kind
偶
of
然
there.
使えるよ
Yeah.
うになっただけ。
どいつもこいつも俺の堂々たる宣
Right, they are.
払わんとは。
でもオカリン、
You did
実
good.
験がうまくいってよかったね。
The sweetest. What caught your attention there? What was the sudden change? Him getting all the credit, no one else involved? What is this? Was this happening in the present? Oh.
空間と時間が入れ替わっている。私には永遠となる。
宇宙の果てが逃げている。いや違う、引き伸ばされている。
永遠は無限ではない。
永遠に向かって時間が引き延ばされようとも終わりは存在する。
You turned a jelly yourself.
1秒後はいつやってくる。
前を向いて
Hmm.
たどり着いて振り返ってはいけない。
そっちへ行っていい？
Yes.
まだ寝てるとは考えないのか。なんだと？
Come in.
で、なぜメールする？目の前にいるのに。
Speak to me.
狂気のマッドサイエンティスト。
I don't think that's the case.
オーラを恐れているのだな。
メールの方が気楽
How come?
だから IBN5100 見せてほしい。
Easier. What a strange one, bro. Thought she was about to fucking pass out there. Alright.
こいつもしかしてただのレトロ PC マニアか。
Nope. She has to make sure that she's seen it, you know? Yeah, no, not of you.
お前の口封じをするしかな。だけどダメかな。運ぶのを手伝ってくれる。なぜ貸すのが前提になってるのだ。
No.
それに本当に貸してほしいのならこっちを向いて直接話せ。
貸して。
No.
残念ながらダメだ。そもそも俺も一時的に借りただけだ。
No, I can't afford to give it to somebody
元
else.
の所有者に返すことになる。
Who's the owner? No.
元の所有者
You don't get to know. Don't let her know.
柳林神社。
No.
グーテンモルゲン。イメールを過去に送るのにさ。
Expose all our secrets. Alright.
聞き違いだ。過去にメールを送るではなくてだな。過去にメールを送ると言ったのだ。
Yeah, no one's
これは
buying
今
that.
話の
No.
話。古代シュメール語で
Nope.
朝ごはんもう食べた。
And now she's gonna expose us even more.
タイムマシン実験する前にマユシンの唐揚げ温めさせてほしいな。
タイムマシンのことで一つ思いついた。
Just give up, bro. Let her in on it.
俺だ。まずいことになった。いや、そうじゃない。8号機の情報が第三者に漏れた。あ
Says it right in front of her.
シフ自身を食い止める。機関に知られるわけにはいかん。通話中にメールを送るな。
ひょっとして
FB.
FB?
What do you know?
貴様は今日から
Welcome. Let's go. The round table will get bigger. Give her a coat too. She texts him and declines. No. Sometimes I can't help but wonder if a lot of the stuff we're getting within these episodes, specifically this one at least, and I feel like all of them have been kind of leading tiny little like traces in a way of like, oh, kind of keep this in mind, oh, keep this in mind because it's going to be relevant and important. And of course we got stuff like that again. But part of me kind of wants to start believing, especially after this one, that a lot of what like was hinted at almost subtly in a way isn't, I guess, as important is maybe somebody who sits here like me and tries to kind of think about and like really theorize in a way or determine exactly like how it could be related. And it might not actually be as important as I'm trying to make it out to be. And important's probably the wrong word because it probably is. It's more of, I think, where I will start to think of these things and maybe overcomplicate things a little bit and start to fall down my own mind, I guess, a little bit in beliefs and start kind of getting trapped that way. So then when something either gets revealed, one of two things happens. And one, I become disappointed in a way because I've tricked myself into thinking it's going to be this grand thing in which I've kind of thought of and theorized on my own, or I'm going to be like looking stupid or just feeling stupid after it gets revealed, being like that was right in front of me the whole time. And I literally went off in a complete different direction, right? And I feel a lot of the things that kind of got presented here are things where I'm kind of having that same exact thought a lot, especially this episode. Suzuha, for example, the things that she says, the way that she kind of presents and carries herself, and especially when it's relating to Kurisu, and every time a mention of her kind of comes up, it's very plain as day put in front of you right here, where she hasn't met her yet, presently at least. She hasn't interacted with her or any of that until this moment or until today. She hasn't done anything in the past or until right now, but she has some sort of knowledge of what's going to occur in the future. And my brain wants to kind of go to, oh, Suzuha's part of the organization and she was sent back in order to kind of do this thing or keep an eye on Okabe or watch out and stop Kurisu from doing something or whatever the case might be, right? Like, and I want to overthink and really be like, this is what's going to happen. And then we get a reveal, say 10 episodes from now, and we end up finding out that it's actually none of that. And it's something almost as simple as we end up meeting Suzuha at some point down the line in the future, and we end up figuring out this time travel stuff specifically with the messages and everything regarding that, and we relay a lot of info straight backwards here, and Suzuha now just kind of has all of that, and Kurisu goes out and does something negative, which I can't even begin to imagine what it would be. She doesn't strike me as that person who would do something that would cause so much harm that somebody like Suzuha has to be on guard this entire time, that like she's coming back here and being wary of her or terrified, or not terrified but angry, and has to get into this warrior pose and everything when she's around her. Like, I can't even begin to think about what she possibly could have done. But it might literally just be as simple as she sent something back to herself beforehand and allowed herself to kind of change the way that things are going to go here to meet up in the past here and actually communicate possibly with Kurisu or keep an eye on everybody to kind of stray them away from this path that they might end up going down, or the way that things might kind of unfold. And I think that's more of like a simplistic but more of like a logical route of where we're gonna head, rather than like we're being set up by a whole bunch of people around us, specifically in an organization and stuff like that, which is kind of what I've been saying for 4 episodes now. So maybe, I don't know, just something about the way that they've kind of presented this. And I think that that also goes with a few of the other shows that I've watched on here specifically, and even ones that I'm currently watching, where I feel like I kind of sometimes can go overboard with like the way I think or get stuck in my own head, and then be disappointed in a way that things kind of get presented to me later on. So maybe my route of going about all those things is entirely wrong. And there's no harm, I guess, really in doing it, unless it kind of affects me, which it has, I feel like, in past series in ways of where I've kind of gone overboard, and then I've become disappointed with what the end result was, because it was rather simple in comparison to this grand thing that I've built up. So this is more, I guess, projection on my own end. I'm trying to have like some security in a way of being okay with the idea that maybe I shouldn't go too far, because if I go too far, I'm going to disappoint myself or not allow this to live up to the standards and status in which others kind of feel. But then again, the entire flip of that can occur, where I build myself up to thinking that something crazy is going to happen, and then something crazy really does fucking happen, but it's nothing that I was thinking at all, and then all this goes out the window and it doesn't matter. Anyways, enough of that. I'm gonna skim through the episode and touch on some stuff. So right here is something I remember noticing from earlier, and I didn't think much of it until it was brought up later. We specifically see on, I can't even remember her name, to be honest. Let me look up her name. I don't know. We specifically see on Moika's phone here that she is sending these messages, and they appear to literally just be all messages in which that she's sending to somebody else or replying to in herself. So we're assuming Okabe is probably the one that she's sending this to, but it could literally be anybody. Every couple minutes appears to be sending different messages. FB appears to be in the subject line. I believe that would be the subject line, unless that's the person that she's sending it to. But I'm believing that's in the subject line. So what FB means, I have no idea, because later on she learns a lot about our time travel and the things in which we're trying to accomplish and build up here. And she kind of starts questioning it, and she specifically mentions FB and then doesn't really touch on it, doesn't really go any further, and nobody really asks any questions. But this is one of those things where a slight mention of that definitely has something going for it, and that I have no idea, and I don't even want to begin to guess. Another moment here, we meet Kurisu again, and Suzuha is staring heavy, really eyeing her down, which definitely Okabe did not let that go unnoticed, because he brings it up to her the next time he ends up seeing her. We have a fun moment where we kind of talk about what we have to do in perfecting everything that we're doing, and we kind of decide we got to name this. If we're going to do this, we got to have a code name in a way, because of course. And then we have a fun, cute little moment between everybody where we're naming and coming up with something here for us, where we're trying to come up with names, and none of them are ever good, but it's okay. till we get to the end, and then we find one that ultimately ends up working by the end of it. And then we continue to do our tests, and we go further and further, able to replicate completely exactly what we do, except the problem this time is we are sending 2 messages, so no longer 1. This is something that kind of gets explained later on, though, as we end up figuring out where there's a limit in the amount of characters or letters and stuff that they can kind of send, so they get split into 2. However, they did mention, I believe at least, they did mention that sometimes things get like cut out. So not that they send in multiple messages, but sometimes things just don't send, which I don't actually have a clue or understanding as to possibly why that could be, but I might have misread that and not understand that well, and it possibly could just be the lettering thing, and they can only send so many at once. We're perfectly sending things 5 days back. I believe we're 5 days right now too. So that would make perfect sense here from the satellite falling and everything that's kind of happening. So depending on the exact time that we sent these messages, do we get a time? Let me see. So she sent them and they come back at 13:20, and then later we continue in this exact same day, and she sends more. So anything that we're sending is going to be after the date of this incident and the times that we had leading up to after we kind of returned home and did everything. And I don't remember anything in episode 1 where he looked at his phone and he was confused about something. Because I was trying to relate this back into the idea that possibly we send a message here or while Carice is performing all these experiments and stuff, and one of those were something in which she received on the first day, in which all of this stuff kind of happened, or not maybe her, but Okabe ended up receiving. But due to the time here, that doesn't seem to be the case. I guess we can toy around with how much we send it back, and we don't have to specifically do the 5 days, and we can change the margins. So it's definitely capable to send things back and extend it in longer periods of time. So I think that's likely what happened specifically in the first episode. I think when Okabe tried to look at his phone, something happened, and like a message, I think it was blurred, or it wasn't blurred, but then he got like this static thing, like this image or something that he got sent. And I think like whatever that case was, it was like something from the future kind of being sent back to him in that exact timeline. He has this moment here where he starts looking at the jello here, the jelly that they got, and he's just like wondering, I don't know what it is, but there's some stuff going on. It's like he's panicking almost, like he's having trauma seeing this, right? And I think that's him relating back to the idea that CERN's been doing experiments, and they've been doing them on humans and others, you know. So he's kind of concerned, I think, because that's something that was harsh enough on him that it caused him to go outside, and it caused him to kind of step away from everybody and kind of have to reset himself and determine how exactly he wants to continue to approach this. And I think the idea of turning people into this or killing people or whatever the case might end up being is something that is really concerning to him. So whenever he sees something that resembles what exactly has been happening with the banana and all these other experiments and stuff they're doing, it's scaring him that this is actually people like kind of being entrapped by this, and possibly even him at the end of the day. Another interaction with Moika, and I don't know even what her thing is. I keep saying she's John. I really don't believe that, to be honest, but it's more of like she has something or some fascination with him or some understanding of him or the things that he's done or like interest in this. And I mean, it could even be as possible she's somebody who also has received things similar to Souza, or they could possibly be working together or sent through same people or doing whatever, but she has interest in this for a reason. This is where we get that mention from her specifically about not having a problem and not having any issue at all with Kurisu, even though she clearly does, or there's something on her mind and there's something that is bothering her there. We get big explanation here as Kurisu's been kind of testing and doing everything, and that's where we kind of figure out the limitations and stuff regarding the lettering and everything that we're doing, and how we're kind of developing everything that's kind of going about here. This one specific moment's really interesting to me too, where Okabe's so happy about like things kind of going their way and getting praise here from Mayuri, and specifically saying, oh, your experiment worked, congrats. And then the smile kind of gets wiped away instantly, and he peers over at Kurisu and doesn't say anything. But then that immediately puts us in this dream void state. But I'm assuming that state actually happens while he's sleeping, so it's not this exact moment. However, what's telling to me is him looking over to Kurisu. This could be a variety of reasons. I think one of the most likely ones is like actually she spent so much time on this experiment and like learning and doing all this stuff, and Mayuri kind of praised her instead of saying like congrats to everybody or congrats to Kurisu or something, and he's like kind of worried that she might kind of take that the wrong way and run away or something, and he's kind of relying on her at this point, or really feels like a connection and kind of needs her in a mind that he's comfortable with, like having around and helping with these things. So almost allowing her to not get this praise is somebody, you know, who probably full well knows the idea of not being praised possibly for the things that he's done, it can kind of be upsetting. And I think maybe that's why he was kind of just checking over to make sure that everything with her was okay. But it also could be the concern of like seeing how much that she's latched onto this and actually taken, you know, the strides forward and attempt to actually like do this and solve these things. And he could be kind of concerned, understanding the idea of how we're going to develop this at some point here in the future, and the idea that we're going to have to experiment on bigger scales here, possibly starting to no longer just be objects but people and things like that involved. And he's kind of nervous, like looking over and making sure that she's going to be okay with it, but also himself, because he's really not, possibly seeing if she has like some sort of similar reaction. This moment's like the most interesting thing of the episode, and I have like zero things to really say about it. He goes into this dreamlike state basically where he's like in this void and he's getting completely sucked out, and he's learning, like he's getting told a lot specifically about time extending forever, but even though there is a forever, there is an end, because everything has to have an end in order for things to have to exist. However, the person speaking to him here is Kurisu's voice. You can't tell me otherwise, it's literally her voice. So I don't know if he's envisioning this as her, because it's a dream is what I'm assuming here, right? So I don't know if we can actually take anything that's actually being said or happening here as like concrete things to kind of latch onto, or if it's more of this is his mindset and kind of the things that's happening, like a collection of the things that have kind of gone on throughout his mind and in his head over these past few days with everything that's kind of coming to light here. And this is ultimately what it came to, and Kurisu being that person who's speaking to him through here as this godlike figure in a way is kind of interesting to me. And I don't know if I have too much of a read really outside of that, but especially just because he wakes up immediately after, that's why I'm assuming this was all straight dreamlike state. So I don't know if there's any real motivation here, like anything that can really help us. I think the only thing that can really help us is specifically the idea of an end existing, and him having to kind of still take that step forward and work towards this and solve this, because there is a end in goal here, or end in sight. But it also could just be something where he is, because he gets like these flashes at the end and he sees the jelly people and stuff, and he gets scared, I think, like right before he kind of flashes back into life. So it could just be like a moment of like him being concerned and him fearing that regardless of if he's able to solve this with travel and all this other stuff that's going on, even if there's only a second of his life that kind of gets taken or passed up while being able to travel through this and pass through time and stuff, they're still going to reach an end. And it could just be relating to possibly like a deeper thing within him, in this fear that he possibly has of dying or coming to an end. But that also might be me kind of overlooking it a little bit, but that's kind of the vibe I'm getting from it, at least. Moika shows up because she's weird and she still refuses to speak or anything. Her saying that it's easier to text than speak, I don't understand that whole thing. I don't know if that's just like I don't actually know. I don't know if there's deeper meaning into any of this at all. She continues to take her pictures and do everything, wants to loan it, because why would she not, right? Of course she wants to. We get a funny moment where everybody kind of exposes us and what exactly we're doing here. So he has to kind of come clean and tell her. We join her in as lab member number 5, even though she doesn't admit it. She talks about FB here still too, which I still have zero read on. I don't understand what exactly she means by that, why this was brought up. It has to be relating to the things that he was talking about at that present moment, because there's no other reason for her to bring it up. But where that comes in, I don't know. I think that's something that will actually get explained, I think, earlier than most things, I would assume, because why would it not? But at the same time, Moika hasn't really told us anything, but now making her lab member number 5, she's going to probably be involved a lot more. So I'd assume we're going to get some answers regarding that soon. And then we end up there. That's going to be all for my little rants and stuff like that. Having a great time, and I'm enjoying this a lot. And definitely the way that they kind of present this. I know a lot of people have said, specifically, that the early half of this show is, I don't know if it's just like these first few episodes or if it's the first core or what it is rather slow, and it takes like a bit, like the build up for everything is slow. But I haven't felt that way at all. Like, well, I guess I do understand, because we haven't really gotten any answers or anything, and everything is just theorizing at this point, and you're trying to form everything. I feel like they're leaving you enough of info, and they're keeping everything else as entertaining as it needs to be, and kind of pacing it well enough that these don't feel like they're dragging, that they don't feel boring, they feel interesting. And I mean, maybe not for somebody who just wants to kind of speed through everything because they're not getting answers and they're not getting enough info like quick enough, but for somebody who's kind of not watching, 4 episodes a day or something, and they're kind of sitting down and trying to think about about and talk about how this series is kind of unfolding and the things that are being presented to us. It doesn't feel slow at all, and I'm enjoying it quite a lot. So just wanted to also put that out there. Thank you very much. If you watched, hit the like and subscribe. Do mean a lot to me. Feel free to check out the other videos on the channel. Leave any comments about this episode or series. I'll be back for 7 soon. You guys have a good one though. Peace.